All right, we'll get
It's
started.
just
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for Women in Solutions Connecting for Success with Fabiana Fattore and Kate Travers. My name is Ty Sartor, and I'm the Senior Buyer Enablement Engineer here at Consensus, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. DEMOFEST is presented by Consensus. Transform how you sell with Consensus, the world's first ever product experience platform. Automate demos, drive faster decisions, and accelerate growth. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or click the Watch a Demo button at the top of your screen. Participation is highly encouraged in today's session. You can find a few ways to engage with us on the right side of your console. The chat function will allow you to connect with us as well as other attendees. And you can find helpful documents from the Docs tab. And lastly, your speakers will answer any questions at the end of your session, so please ask your questions at any time with the Q&A box. And if you have any technical difficulties, you can head to the gear at the bottom of your screen, and this is where you will see the help document to troubleshoot any common issues. And now, I would like to introduce our speakers, Fabiana and Kate. Fabiana is a senior solutions consultant at Sage and a co-founder of the Female SE. Kate is a principal solutions consultant at Sage, and it also is a co-founder of the Female SE. And with that, I'll turn the rest of our time over to both of you.
Thank you, Ty. Let's wait for Fabs to share her screen. Super. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, Women in Solutions Connecting for Success, hosted by myself and Fabs as the Female SC. So as Ty's already introduced me, I'm Kate Travers, Principal Solution Consultant and co-founder of the Female SC, and I work in HR Tech. And over to Fabs.
Thank you, Kate. My name is Fabiana Fattore. I'm a senior solution consultant working in financial tech and also the co-founder of the Female SC. So a little bit around the Female SC. It was founded in June last year when Kate and I identified a gap in online communities specifically dedicated to women in SC and pre-sales roles. We wanted to change that. As two females working in tech, we know traditionally these roles have been and still are dominated by males. We are slowly seeing this change and wanted to create a community to help bring individuals together to connect and collaborate. The Female SC is inclusive of all, open to members who are women, non-binary, and male allyship representing support of our community. With that in mind, when we were asked to host a session today, we knew the best way to represent the Female SC was to host a panel session with some incredible women in the industry, who we know through their stories and experience will inspire, encourage, and empower you all, as they have done us.
And we're all here today to be inspired and to learn from thought leaders. We've got incredible sessions throughout the whole of DEMOFEST virtual, but importantly, to speak to other professionals and also each other and learn and engage with members of our own community. So through the Female SE community, we aim to use that personal reflection and knowledge to ignite the spark within ourselves as individuals, which is really important and key to our own successes. So everyone here today will have achieved their own individual success, and that can be reflected on and should also be shared. So we're very much advocates for sharing those experiences, and by acknowledging each other, by celebrating achievements, by connecting, networking, and talking about our stories, that will also empower ourselves as individuals. So our session today, as you can see on screen, is Women in Solutions Connecting for Success. And we have an incredible panel of community members and experts who will bring their own open and candid experiences to our virtual table and allow you all to gain a bit of insight into three sort of key highlighted areas, which is around gaining valuable career insights from our panelists as they share their career journeys, including any challenges and successes that they've encountered, about learning strategies of how to enhance your own self-advocacy and expand your networking outreach to support your career growth, and then also discover some practical tips and stand out and build influence with your own organisation, so helping you thrive in your own careers. And with that, we want to introduce our incredible panelists who we're delighted to have join us today. All of their links of their socials are on the screen at the moment, so please feel free to connect with them. And there will also be an opportunity to ask them any questions, so pop anything into the chat during the session. We'll aim to get round to all of those later on. So firstly, Sam, over to you.
Thanks, Kate. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Kay. I'm a manager of global proposal strategy at Rapid7, which is a cybersecurity company. I manage a team of proposal professionals, and we generate multi-million dollars of revenue every year selling our products and services. I've been at Rapid7 for 8 years, just over, but my whole career has been in tech, from IBM to SAP Concur. I'm really passionate about women supporting women, and as Kate said before, you know, as the saying goes, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So I'm really glad to be here, and hope that you all leave this call feeling confident, equipped, and empowered to take command of your career.
And Steph, over to you.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me well. I'm Stefania. I am a solution consultant at Comply Advantage. Comply Advantage tackles financial crime using artificial intelligence. I've been there over a year now, and it's actually my first official pre-sales role, but my background is in early stage companies working on product and business development. So I'm very excited to be here and to share a bit about my career development and also make new connections.
And Rachel, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel McLucky. I am a solution consultant at a company called Workday, who also do HR tech like Kate. I've been working in HR tech for nearly a decade now in a few different roles, but I would say pre-sales and solution consultant is my favorite. So I'm very excited to be at DEMOFEST again. And yeah, super excited to hear from our other panelists, share any experiences that I have that might be interesting and useful, and just connect with some new people today.
Thank you again for joining us all, ladies. So let's get started with our discussion today. And first of all, we're going to start with focusing on self-advocacy. So the rise in awareness about mental health, personal boundaries, and individual rights has contributed to growing emphasis on self-advocacy. People are increasingly recognizing the importance of standing up for themselves to foster respect, improve communication, and build confidence. So Sam, let's get started with you. What does self-advocacy mean to you, and why is it important?
I think particularly in male-dominated fields like tech, women have historically been conditioned to prioritise modesty over self-promotion. And I think, you know, even though self-advocacy is essential for career growth, we've kind of been taught not to do that. And so I think, to me, self-advocacy is about unapologetically communicating the impact that you make and the value that you bring to the organisation, and not being afraid to shine. It's building your personal brand, and it's elevating your self-belief and recognizing your worth to forge a fulfilling career that you love. And I think from my perspective, I've never had a job that hasn't scared me a little bit. And I think it's having the confidence to go out and get things and stretch yourself and believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's great. And Sam, how has it helped then? Gaining that experience, how's that then helped build your career to date?
It's helped me get comfortable being uncomfortable, which is where all the growth and the magic happens. So I think it's been so helpful in helping me identify strengths and things that I enjoy by having that exposure to different opportunities that otherwise I may not have been aware of or had access to, because I've had the confidence to go out and grab opportunities where they are. It's helped me to navigate and take over the control with salary discussions and different growth opportunities, and really communicate what I want out of my journey in my career, which has, as I mentioned, allowed me to build a fulfilling career that I absolutely love. And so I really am passionate about other people doing the same. And lastly, it's given me the confidence to put myself out there. So I'm on the board of directors for APMP. I've gone and learned new skills, worked with lots of different people, and just really honed in on what I want to get out of my career, and just gone to go and get it. So I think it's opened up my my horizons to not pigeonhole myself or make myself small.
Just on that, you talked about salaries. That's such a key one. Every person I've spoken to has that horrible fear of actually asking for a pay increase, and even, I think even the way we approach it is immediately negative, and then you've got the drawback. Like, have you got an example of how you've done that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've always been very transparent about what my expectations are, because your manager can't help meet something that they don't know exists. And so I go into the conversation understanding firstly what my worth is, what I've achieved and what impact I've made. And that gives you the confidence to say, well, this is where I want to get to, whether it's a number, whether it's a responsibility, whether it's a title, whatever it is. I think it's steering those conversations. It's not a dirty word to talk about money as much as we've probably been led to believe it is, but this is a job, this is not your hobby, and so you need to be paid for the work that you're doing and make sure that you're being paid your worth. And so I think it's taking that control back and not skirting around it. We'd far rather be doing our hobbies and other things on our own time, but this is a career and we get paid for the expertise and the work that we do. So yeah, I think try and overcome the discomfort of those conversations and steer them, because by setting your expectations, your manager can at least help manage them. So if you're way off, you can have discussions about, okay, what does the career path look like, how do we get you to where you want to be, and it just helps create that alignment and support.
And how do you, sorry, just last one on that, how do you overcome that sort of stigma that women have when we express ourselves in that way, very unlike how men might do the same thing? We are then branded as certain characteristics in a very negative way. How do you not come across as bullish or harsh or all the things that would probably be respected in a male counterpart?
I think you just have to let that go. It's easier said than done, I know, but I think it's the thing that one of my favorite things about self-advocacy is that you show receipts, and it's all about the way that you communicate to other people. So it's not just saying, can I please have some more money? It's, this is what I've delivered, this is the impact that I've made, and I think this is aligned to the work that I'm doing. And I think you can practice talking to your family, your friends, just to get a little bit more comfortable navigating that conversation. But as a manager myself, I expect all of my team to tell me what number they want to get to, because then I know that I'm helping shoot in the right direction. And I think it's leveraging the skills of self-advocacy to really give you the confidence to say, actually, I deserve this, I'm going to ask for it. And I think it's allowing yourself to feel empowered and recognizing your value, which is not a comfortable thing to do, but the more you work at it, the more confident and comfortable you'll feel, and it does become second nature.
And Rachel, let's come to you. So can you share how you approach self-advocacy?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of it for me is, and this goes in part to accepting that I'm getting older now. When I first entered the workforce, and maybe this is like in part due to how I grew up and I guess my schooling, but I just had this idea that I just had to do whatever I was told and just please my manager at the time, do whatever the company wanted. And work is about doing what you're asked. And so it's only as I have gotten older and had more experiences that I have realized that I have my own wants and needs that are important and okay to express at work. So I think there's a bit of learning about yourself and deciding what is important to you so that you can bring that to work and decide these are the things I'm going to stick to and care about. And for me, a lot of that is work-life balance and having the ability to check out of work. I'm all for having a career, and I really do, in the hours that I'm given to work, push myself and try and go as far as I can. But it's really important to me to have that time away. So things that I care about are having a 4-day week, which I am able to work right now, or like my commute to the office is like a big one to me, like the things that actually impact my time outside of work a lot. And I've had times in my career where I've kind of asked for things that more align to what am I doing outside of my work hours and been told no by my company or my boss at the time. And I think a younger me would have just accepted that and thought, okay, this is what work is like. But an older me that is more comfortable with myself and more confident in what I'm giving, so like Sam said, knowing what you're contributing to the company and knowing that you are a value add there, the more comfortable and confident you are with that, the more comfortable I've become with asking for what I need. So it's allowed me to be able to go to the company I'm at now and say, I actually had a weird moment in the interview where I said from the very start, I only want a 4-day week. They came back and said, this contract is only 5 days, sorry. And I said, okay, well, I can't accept the job because that's like a game changer for me. Like that's what I need. And they thought about it and said, fine, you can come on the 4-day week. And I think a younger me wouldn't have even pushed back on that. I think I would have just said, okay, yeah, no, fine, I'll come for 5 days. But because I was so, I guess, comfortable with what I wanted and what I needed, I just stuck to my guns and was lucky enough to learn that companies aren't as rigid on rules as they maybe sometimes say they are.
Giving away all the secrets now.
No, they will give up.
I'm just writing down 4-day work week.
That's amazing, though.
Okay, right.
Amazing. Just, I mean, the don't ask, don't get. I mean, a lot of people just forget that, and you just go along with the flow because it's the easiest option. And before we move into loving those experiences, but before we move into sort of more career development, just whilst we're on self-advocacy, any tips or tricks for our audience from Sam?
Yes, so I've made a note of 8 different approaches, and by no means is that list exhaustive. They're just the 8 things that have worked really well for me. I would be really interested in the chat to see what else has worked for other people, so please don't be shy and share away. But the first one I've got is very similar to what Rach said, is mapping your goals. So define your baseline of what good looks like for you. So whether it's salary, responsibilities, the scope of your role, your working style or working hours or patterns. And that kind of gives you your baseline of everything that your current role and job should be meeting. And then from there, you can then work out what better and best looks like for you. Because then once you've worked out your direction, you can kind of sail towards it. And that's easier said than done. And it's absolutely okay to not know what your best or what your goals are. Instead, you could break it down into thinking of a skill that you'd like to develop or something that you'd like to gain experience in. And on the flip side, it gives you the opportunity to work out what you don't enjoy and what you don't like doing, which, you know, is equally as valuable. But the importance of mapping your goals is it helps you communicate that vision to others and align their support. So work out what it is that you want and then go out and ask for it and make sure that people are aligned to support you in getting it. Okay. So the second one is your one-to-ones. Managers, as much as they may want to be, are not omnipresent and they can't manage expectations that they don't know exist. So use your one-to-ones to steer conversations with your manager. Like I said before, this is your career, not a hobby. So take ownership and communicate your expectations confidently and unapologetically. This is your opportunity for your manager to provide feedback, help identify skill gaps and outline the next steps to help you move forward. It also builds trust. So as a team, as a manager myself, knowing that my team comes to their one-to-ones prepared, they know what they want to talk about, they're steering me and telling me what they need from them, lets me know that they're ready for, you know, the next step or to take on more responsibility. And so it does build trust both ways, and it opens up and levels up the communication between you. And it also really helps managers assess your readiness for new challenges. So it really does support career advancement. So set your agenda, go prepared. One-to-ones are really for your benefit. So make sure that you get what you need from your manager, steer the conversations and be confident. You know, you are hired for a reason. You bring something great to the team. So get what you need to keep driving your journey. And lastly, on this one, remember that your manager should be your second biggest advocate, but you have to be your first. So be prepared and take control of the conversations and get out of them what you need.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you, Sam. Oh, is there
right. There's a 3 and there's an all the way till 8. So
continue. I love it.
Anyone feel free to interject if you have anything that you want to add. I'll pause after each one. Number 3, we have one of my favorites is hype docs. So these are something that you update monthly or whatever cadence works for you to make a note of all the contributions that you've made and then map those contributions to your goals and company core values. The reason for doing this is when it comes to those end of year reviews and you can't remember what you've done at the start of the year, and so you just focus on the big stuff, you miss so many of the smaller things that help you build the story and to demonstrate your impact. So the hype doc is like a little document that you can keep in Excel or whatever format works for you, but just make sure that you're updating it regularly, because then it means that you've got visibility of maybe an area that you need to focus more on the next quarter, or use it for your one-to-ones to help steer the conversations. Maybe it's something that you want to embark on a new skill that you need to learn. Use your hype doc to show why you're ready and why that makes sense. So it is all about the receipts, and it really transforms those end of year write-ups. Everyone hates them and they feel horrible, no one can remember what they've done. It really transforms that into a really, really empowering opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm good and this is why, and you can just go through all of the evidence that you've got to demonstrate your impact and weave these golden threads into the story that you want to tell. And so it transforms your the way that you communicate your impact, and it also helps understand exactly where your strengths are, what you enjoy, and it's just a really great tool. And I think particularly in those moments of imposter syndrome, which is why I call it a hype doc, you can go and have a look at what you've achieved and be like, actually, yeah, I'm pretty good. And it just is a little confidence booster. So I would wholeheartedly recommend a hype doc. Whether you share it with your manager is totally up to you, but just make a note of the things that you're working on, because if they're not important enough to write down, why are you working on them? So yeah, that's number 3. Number 4, networking and mentorship. This is a really good one for self-advocacy, because it gives you the opportunity to learn from others. And in my experience, everybody will always make time to help and have a conversation with you. And so it does take a lot of requirement to get out of your comfort zone. But again, that's where the magic happens. So be curious, build connections, learn about other people, their roles, responsibilities, and take the opportunity to share about yours as well. And that builds up your network, your reputation. And having a mentor is so valuable to help navigate different challenges. And I would wholeheartedly recommend that. As an introverted extrovert myself, I think, I was reading a study where it says that nerves and excitement cause the same psychological response nerves and excitement are the same. And so the key is how you actually decide to label it. So I try and remind myself that I'm excited. What I mean is excitement for a positive outcome rather than nerves for fear of a potential negative result. And so flip that narrative so that it helps you get out of that comfort zone. So the networking, again, increases your visibility, and it helps within the organization to build your brand. And it also makes it easier for people to mention your name in conversations that you're not part of. So that's where the different opportunities come in from, the different learning opportunities. And it also opens the opportunity for other collaboration opportunities like this talk and other panels that I've been on. So it really is valuable for learning, for development, all the above.
I completely second that nervous excited, because it's like sometimes I go and do a big presentation or I have a huge client and you're super nervous, but it's the same feeling that you had when you were 4 on Christmas morning about to open presents, and it's very confusing. It's definitely the same tummy feelings, but
butterflies.
Definitely. And I think just changing, or just even saying to yourself, I am excited about this, it just changes your perspective, and it actually excited, I'm going to nail this. So it really does help. And very closely to the networking is number 5, which is your elevator pitch. So presumably everybody understands what the elevator pitch is when you're selling solutions or products, but you need to have an elevator pitch for yourself. And that really helps you translate your contributions into relatable, impactful terms, particularly in roles that aren't particularly well defined. So, everyone understands what sales is, but really just translating that information into what you actually do. So I'll give you an example. For me, rather than I manage the proposal team, you could try, I manage a global team of proposal managers. We help generate tens of millions of dollars revenue by winning RFPs, pitching our solutions to customers and prospects. So you see the difference in there's tangible benefit from what I've said, and you can understand immediately what the impact is that myself and my team make. So have a think about what it is that you do in the communication or the messaging that you want to communicate, and be concise, be clear, and be confident. Okay. Before I move on to number 6, does anyone want to interject?
No, continue. Love the role.
Okay. Number 6, solicit feedback and give feedback. This is an odd one when it comes to self-advocacy. However, doing your bit to contribute to a culture of celebrating achievements and continuous improvement really does help with your own career development. It encourages constructive feedback to help you grow, and likewise you can help others grow too. And you can also use the feedback to share with your manager. It could be, whether it's praise or whether it's by demonstrating your commitment to growth and continuous improvement by the actions that you take to address it, as evidenced in your hype dog. So it also helps build your brand reputation and your commitment to, and your reputation for commitment to excellence. So it really does help transform. If everyone wants to know when they've done a good job, and the majority of people also want to make sure that they're doing the best job that they can be. So that feedback really supports that that kind of culture. Okay. Number 7, nearly there. Number 7 is one of my hated ones, but also one of my favorites. Switch up your vocabulary. So don't lose your power. Perception the perception of confidence is credibility, which you then back up with actions to justify it. So stop over apologizing. Sorry to bother you. I just want to say this. Sorry. You're losing your power by doing that. You're making yourself seem bothersome. Flip that completely to thank you for your help, or thank you for this, because it acknowledges the contributions and understanding from other people without diminishing your own stance. You don't need to apologize for existing. Take up space. You have every right to be there and every right to be asking others for something. So try and stop saying sorry where it's not needed. And similarly is overexpressing gratitude. If someone's done a tiny mini baby thing, you don't need to say, thank you so much. Thank you or I appreciate your help is absolutely perfect. Let's not be thanking people for mediocrity or things that they should be doing anyway. So I think, on that's it. So the last one is one that I try and avoid, is saying just. I just wanted to, can you just help me, or I just want to do this. It doesn't add anything to what you're asking. It's making excuses for yourself again. So take up space. And the last one on this one is, if that makes sense, don't say that. Don't try and stop saying that. Pause. There's so much power in a pause. So just let me know if you have questions, or not even just let me know. So let me know if you have questions.
I'm guilty of so many of those. The sorry, the does that make sense? I say it in demos all the time at the end, but the pause always feel like it's awkward, but I suppose that's just getting used to that silence and giving yourself a break as well, because if you're talking for that long, give the client or whoever you're presenting to the opportunity to have a think of what you've just shown and allow them to digest. But those are amazing tips, Sam. I think I'm going to need those tips myself, because I can certainly learn from those. Yeah, that will really help.
And I think it is a language thing, and I think it is a filler. We try and fill spaces, and it's not necessary, and I think it hurts your credibility. So be confident and let things pause, and let people ask questions. And I think this leads really nicely onto my last point of this, is number 8, share your opinion. So ask for forgiveness, not permission to share them. People will tell you if you've overstepped, and that's their responsibility to tell you. You don't needlessly walk on eggshells. Don't censor yourself. Don't hold yourself back. If you have a perspective, you should share it. You've been hired for a reason. Your experience, your perspective, and they can give you valuable insights that others don't have. So don't be afraid to share. And I think it's just I guess the theme for this is unapologetic. Be unapologetic about who you are, what you do, and go out and shine.
I think one of the things about us being Brits as well, we are constantly apologetic for absolutely no reason. I don't know if anyone else can agree, but that's amazing. Thanks, Sam. I love the flamethrower number 8 as well. That's a great one. Going out like a wrecking ball. Amazing. Fabs, I think you're next.
Yeah, so thank you so much for all the discussions around self-advocacy. That's been really helpful and really great discussion so far. So next, we want to talk a little bit around your experiences in your career development. So Steph, I wanted to come to you next and understand what steps you've taken to achieve your career goals so far.
Right. So as I mentioned in my intro, I'm coming from an early stage and corporate background. So I worked as a product developer, but also business developer, not knowing exactly what solution consultant role entails. So when it comes to the different steps that I took, I have experienced with different industries in tech, but different industries, for example, fintech, for example, biotech. So from all those, I've tried to achieve both IQ and EQ so I can use it in my next role. And now thinking back, all the different roles that I've had, I've learned how to communicate, how to be empathic with people and be curious about their needs and about how I can help them achieve what they need to achieve. So I think for a solution consultant or implementation consultant, that's very important. Also, I was always keen on role evolution. So when I felt that I'm not learning enough from my current role or I'm not getting the enough mentorship, as Sam mentioned, which I think is so important, especially when you start your career, I felt it's time to move on. And even though I was afraid to making the next step, for example, transitioning into a completely new role, I've had those mentors that helped me, or I used, for example, networking events such as Co-Form community, which is not addressed to women, but that's how I discovered the female SC community. So just meeting new people and understanding how I can transition into a new role. And I think these are the different steps that I took so far, just to be able to transition into a new role, network, so I can meet people in those industries, and not being afraid to use the skills that I've previously had in my existing role, even if it's a different title.
I love that. And it's not always linear, is it, in solutions consulting? A lot of people who we've spoken to, there's no actual role above their current role. So it's often doing the same skill set, but moving into different industries or different areas, which is quite unusual in the tech industry, not to necessarily go up a particular ladder, because as consultants, we're a lot more versatile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly. And just as an example, in my previous role, when I was doing product development, there was the commercial person who would always invite me to a call with a potential prospect, just for me to do the product demonstration. But I didn't know that that's a solution consultant. So now when I was interviewing for my current role, in the beginning, I was afraid that, hey, I never did a demo. But then when I was talking through my experience, they said, you were basically doing solution consultant, but for an early stage startup who doesn't have this role. So again, I think that's actually a concept I've heard this week through a podcast, the mountain of value that each of us has. And we sometimes believe that we don't know enough, or we haven't been exposed to enough experience. However, when we think back, we should always when we're at the bottom and we see the mountain, we just want to climb the mountain, but when we're there, we don't see the mountain itself. So I think always thinking back, like our previous experience, and leveraging that in the respective role that we're doing.
That's really great, Steph. And when you were a product developer, what skills did you then bring over into the solution consultant role, and how have you then used those skills to help you in your current role? And then what advice can you give to someone that is looking to progress in their career?
To start with the different skills, so I would say on one hand, you need the, for example, industry knowledge. Let's say you are working in fintech. Of course, you know the knowledge of the product, what the industry does, who are your clients that you're working with or prospects. But also we need to focus a lot on being empathic, communicating with our managers and our colleagues, as Sam said, but also coachability. I think that is one skill that I've gained moving from product to a solution consultant, meaning that I would always ask for feedback and go to my manager and say, is it okay where I am? And if he would give me a feedback, I would take that as fuel and be coachable, but also expect from my manager to be able to coach me in such a way to get where I wanted. And communication, especially with my colleagues. Actually, in my team, I am the only woman SC, which is great, but also I had to take a different approach in the way I'm communicating with my manager. This going back to, again, what Sam and Rachel said. And in the beginning, I was a bit afraid that how can I go to my manager when, my rest of my colleagues are approaching him in a different way? But I think by communicating and also showing him that I want to be coached, we've developed a specific type of relationship, which I personally love now because we have different conversations. So that's also good. So I think being empathic, rapid learning when it comes to the industry or the product that you're working on, communicating and coachability. And when it comes to advice, what advice I would give, it's on one hand, as I said, blend the skills. Don't be afraid to combine the technical know-how, because I think sometimes solution consultants are seen as the people who need to be very technical, but we also need to use our soft skills like storytelling, being empathic, communicate, and contribute as much as we can. And also relationship building, because I feel, as you, Kate, mentioned, that we talk to product or we talk to the sales team, building those relationships in the company will also help you build your network and go to events and meet people in the industry.
Yeah, that's really great, Steph. Thank you for that. And going over to you, Rachel, what has your career journey been like so far?
It started back when I first graduated from university and thought I was going to be an accountant. Kudos to anyone that's done that. I was not ready for coming out of full-time education and continuing to do education on top of a full-time job. So anybody that's passed their accountancy exams, I'm very impressed. That didn't last long because I didn't commit myself to the studies. So I kind of fell into technology. And I'm really grateful that I did. I really love the industry. And I've done a few different roles. And I think it all started, my entrance into technology, really with, I would say account management skills, but I don't mean it in a sales way. The first company that I was an account manager at, it was more a relationship building exercise with existing customers, not new sales. But it was all about building the relationship. And I had a boss at maybe like my second or third company who saw those relationship building skills and all the soft skills that Stefania's just talked about and said I would be really good at transferring those into tech and doing the implementation consultant role, which is working with customers to get them set up with the software for the first time. So that was my first proper tech role. And I felt like a bit of a fraud at that because I had like no tech experience. I just was good at speaking to people, and I loved it because I'd go in and run these like full-day sessions talking to them about how they wanted their software to be. And it went well, but I moved into lots of different roles in tech, really just developing those relationship skills. And I guess I've become more technical as I've gone on, just from exposure and people believing that I can learn it. And I think that's one of my maybe my best skills in growing my career has just been my belief that I can learn something. So every time I've been to an interview, I've been very clear on these are the skills I have, and it's almost always I'm super good with people. I can talk to people at all different levels. I can present an idea in a very clear, concise way. Here's what I don't know, and it's normally your product, how your product works, what your product does. But I will learn it, and I am confident that I can learn. And I think that's something that we should all be just more willing to embrace is learning, continual learning while you're in your role. And like Sam said at the start, not expecting to be able to do the job instantly out of the blocks. I think that's okay. And lots of people have one area at least that they will have to learn on the job. So owning that is okay, and making that be clear from up front when you're going in for an interview or changing roles is useful, because then the manager knows what to plan when you arrive. But yeah, I've traveled around the tech world. I did implementation, consulting, and customer success, and then now solution consulting, which I'd recommend to anybody. It's like the most fun of the tech world, I think.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love your story, Rachel, because it just shows how you can fall is the wrong word because you're very skilled, but how you've just gone, okay, let's try that opportunity and let's learn this, and it's a very organic way to move into the next phase of your journey, and it's got a great progressive history as well. So, and having all that skill has actually got you to the next role anyway. For those, I think a lot of discussions we have with people is they become static in their role, and although there's things we talked about today, I mean, I'm saying from my own experience as well, when you're trying to get ahead, you can often do too much, or you're a bit, there's so many different things, like learn something, okay, I'll learn something, be helpful, okay, say yes to everything, because that will make you look very
busy,
very keen to be going where you need to be going, and it can be really too much. You can end up feeling very overwhelmed, you can get burned out. I've had it. I'd be amazed if most people in the call haven't experienced that at some point or another. So Sam, I know you personally and professionally, so we've talked about this as well. Can you give the audience a bit of an example of how you might successfully deal with that additional workload or stress that sometimes comes from moving outside of your comfort zone, or in this case scenario, maybe taking on new opportunities in order to progress in your career?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to ring my self-advocacy bell. Boundaries is something else that I guess falls under the umbrella of self-advocacy, because it's not just about taking things on. It's about recognizing your own capacity and your own bandwidth, and cherry picking the opportunities that work best for you. It's okay to not have capacity to do something, because the last thing that you want to do is overpromise and underdeliver, because that's going to really cause your career development and growth and reputation harm. So it's really about taking responsibility and communicating your capacity. If somebody asks you to help with a project or to take something on, it's okay to say, I don't have bandwidth for that right now, but I'd love to get involved with a similar project or something later on, and I'll let you know when I have capacity to do that. I think it is just communicating your boundaries and treating it like you would anything else that's on your plate. I think career development isn't about who does the most work. It really isn't. It's being strategic, and it's making sure that you're taking you're developing your skills in the right way. And so yes, cherry pick things that work for you, and if something isn't the right fit for, or it doesn't align with your goals or your development, you don't have to take it. You don't have to pick it up. It's not you have to do it or it doesn't ever get done. It's just that it's okay to pass on things. But just last thing is do not overpromise and underdeliver. Yeah,
you're just going to end up with too many things and not making impact on any of them. That's
exactly
great.
It's the fastest route to burnout, is trying to do everything.
And what we often also sort of a part of when we're experiencing career development and ways to advance yourself is now involving building influence, which I both love and hate at the same time, because it's such a tricky thing to navigate, as you've got to do it as an individual. You can't just follow suit because you're influencing people based on who you are. It requires a lot of consistency, demonstrating things like expertise, fostering strong relationships, effectively communicating ideas to others, trying to inspire and guide others as well. Very daunting for some. It's a lot to take on. I'd love to ask Steph how you've been able to build influence and expand your own sort of professional network, or give us any experience or hints on that as well, please.
Yes, sure. So Two examples come to mind. On one hand, as I was working on improving my demonstration skills and my presentation skills. So what I did in order to also build influence in my existing company, I volunteered for any new employee to enable them with the product and explain how the product works. So this way it allowed me to also build relationships with the product team, for example, who were telling me this is the latest release, this is what you should present to the new employees. So I think doing that on constantly, like month by month, every time we had a new employee that was relevant to show, build credibility about myself. And suddenly I became the person who was asked to present this to in a webinar. So I think on one way is getting yourself out there and getting out of your comfort zone, and by helping people. I think that's how you also get to know new people, especially people who are new in the company, and you are the person who they trust and go to, and then that's how you also build relationships.
Yes, that's really great stuff, and yeah, I can certainly sort of vouch for that. Being that sort of trusted advisor, I think that really helps as well, build that credibility, build that trust, not only with new employees, but also, you know, expanding out your network in other parts of the business, whether that's internally to your company or externally, like we found through the community and other communities that are out there. So that's really, really great. And Rachel, from your perspective, how have you done the same in your own professional network?
Yeah, I think I worked, so the company I'm at now, I've only been at for 9 months. The company I was at before that, I was at for just over 6 years. And I think because I moved around a few different roles there, naturally, lots of teams knew who I was. And I hope and think they had a good impression of me, and I left a good impression everywhere I went. So I think naturally at my old job, my internal network happened without much extra effort on my part, and it was something I took for granted. So when people first started talking about this whole like professional network and influence, I was at my old company, and my mind went to like, oh, this means like LinkedIn. So if you look at my LinkedIn, you'll see I started posting stuff on LinkedIn because that must be what it means. And then I went to a new company that is so much bigger than my old one, and nobody knows me, and nobody knows what I'm good at, where I can help them, what I can bring to the table to help us win deals. So I realized then, oh, okay, this isn't just about my LinkedIn posts. This is about how am I showing up at this new company, and how am I expanding and growing an internal network from scratch again. And I've realized this time around that you can be more intentional with it. And I guess the thing that's bucking against my internal instincts is to just speak up and tell people what I'm good at. Luckily, we have a HR system, which happens to be what I sell, where I can type in all of my skills and then people can search. Oh, Rachel knows how to do this. I'll ask her help on this. But there is a lot of just saying, oh, no, I actually have done that before. I can help with this. Or I have an opinion on this. Let me share it and see if it helps. And luckily as well at my new company, we use Slack a lot, which means I can sit and watch a lot of conversations, sometimes overwhelming, but it does mean that I can see when there's things going on that I can interject in and offer a hand on. So a lot of it now is building it from scratch again, but just being more confident to say, this is where I'm useful and this is what I can help with, which goes back to what I said earlier about just understanding the value that you bring, and so you can know where best to use it.
I love that, Rachel. And I mean, I've worked in both a startup and a large corporate, and that big fish, small pond variation, it's just, as soon as you go into a large corporate, as you said, it's just so difficult to even work out how to, it's a different game plan. It's a different style, isn't it? And I think there's one part of that sort of professional presence that's external, which is initially everyone thinks LinkedIn and things like that, but actually a big part of your professional capabilities and ways of career progression is internal. And people forget that actually if you were working with the different teams, if you start working a bit with marketing, if you start working a bit with product, if you start working a bit with your implementation consultants, your customer success teams, you start to become a bit of a, as Fab talked about earlier, that trusted advisor, where people then go, oh, I know someone who could do that. Oh, I can do, I can work with that person. And next thing you know, you're doing something crazy that is completely out of your comfort zone, and you never signed up to it, but you've just said, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. And it goes both ways.
HR directors.
Yeah, exactly.
That's honestly a good.
Exactly. So just, I mean, you've explained you've been there 9 months now. So do you have, I guess, from your experience from the previous company, now that has changed your version of looking at the sort of professional presence section part of it and having that network, what's your now game plan based on there being so many people there? Other than obviously speaking up, is there any other ways you're sort of trying to navigate or work out? Because there's people who hit on the audience, which will be in a very large organization as yourselves, and that is a completely different scope of confidence, I guess, or where to even start. Yeah,
I've, in a way, and this maybe isn't what people want to hear, but lowered my expectations. I think in my last company, I was at a point before I left where I felt like anyone could ask me pretty much any question and I'd be able to answer it. There are people at my current company that have been there for 10 years and will admit now they are not at that point. So I think that's unachievable in my new company. So my game plan now is choose my area of expertise and become an expert in a smaller area, but be really good at it. And then advertise myself internally as that expert so that I can then be the one that puts my hand up for someone in Japan doing an opportunity and says, no, I'm the expert of this area of the product or this industry. I will be the one that gets called into that. So in a way, it's like kind of exciting because you get to be more deep in one area. But still, I am not sure how well I'm going to do it being the multiple people trying to be the expert of everything. But then I guess it's about not trying to compete and working with those people and being that team of experts.
Working together.
Find your niche.
Yeah.
So we're coming sort of to the end of the panel session now. If anyone's got any questions for the next 5 minutes, please pop them in the chat. So we've got a bit of time to ask the panelists. What I just wanted to do, and we hope you found the conversation today really inspiring, encouraging, hopefully empowering as well. But I just had one final ask until we go to the questions from our panelists, and that would just be one, Sam, if you can make it, one key takeaway just to give our audience, just from today, maybe just to sort of bring it all together. We'll start with you, Rachel.
I would say know what you want and stand your ground. Believe that you'll get it.
Love it. And Steph?
So I think from this session today and hearing the other panelists, I think I sometimes believe that, for example, self-advocacy and networking and career development would be 3 different separate areas. However, I see them as one when you're thinking about your overall progression. So, for example, you have communication, networking, mentorship in all these different areas. So just trying to make use of that in all these different areas you want to improve, and not think they are separate to each other.
Brilliant. Thank you, Steph. And Sam?
It's kind of one big one. Self-advocacy is not about bragging. It's just ensuring that your contributions are recognised and valued in spaces where they might otherwise be overlooked. It's not a one-time thing, and it should be consistently practiced often. And I would say start small. In your one-to-ones with your manager, they can help identify what's more noteworthy, things to share in team meetings, and ask other people how they approach it. How did you get this promotion, or can you help me plot my next career path? practice makes perfect, and so you have to get over the discomfort, and then the more that you do it, the more second nature it will become. And then lastly, believe you deserve it and shamelessly ask for it. I take a really good quote from Queen Bee, Beyonce, who said, "Your self-worth is determined by you. You don't have to depend on someone to tell you who you are. Don't lessen yourself for the world. Let the world catch up to you." So believe you deserve it and shamelessly ask for it.
Love
Mic
it.
drop.
Mic drop. Amazing. Babs, was there any questions you said?
Yeah, we've got about 4 questions in the chat.
Try and squeeze a couple in.
Yeah, so I'll take the first one that came in a little bit earlier from Helga. So she asked, why do you think it is impossible to find a new pre-sales role, a part-time pre-sales role? I think it was going back to your point, Rachel, where you asked for the 4-day week. So she said she's been searching for more than 2 years now, even had a job offer earlier this year that was withdrawn by the company when she asked for part-time. All roles seem to be full-time only, which often better suits male candidates. So I suppose probably to the panel really, like why do you think that there's less advertising of part-time pre-sales roles versus full-time ones? Any thoughts?
I would hazard a guess that it's sales teams being very greedy and saying they need the capacity and they need more resource, which is exactly what I got told when my current company said we can't do a 4-day week. There isn't capacity. The team needs someone 5 days. Obviously, I was very lucky that they rethought that and were willing to give me a shot. And I am a very optimistic person, so I am just hopeful that the more companies do it and the more it works, the more other people will follow suit. But I think there'll be a lack of companies advertising it as part-time. That shouldn't stop you from inquiring and applying and seeing if they will do part-time, because you might find companies that are willing to do it even if they didn't initially think that that's what they wanted.
For the right person, as Rachel's demonstrated.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah,
and I think like, one more, Fabs, just to...
Yeah, so from Erica, she asked, do you have any morning routines or specific habits that help you find success in work or even daily life?
Oh, I love that. Sam?
I'm backing off from that because I've got 2 toddlers.
Yeah,
things are an absolute mess.
And it's a really good question. I think for me it's less of a morning habit, but more about work-life balance. I think you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's about making sure that you're doing things outside of work that fill your cup, that make you feel wholesome. So exercise, take breaks, make sure that you have holiday and downtime. You have to be able to reset to be able to carry on. And so I think less of a morning routine, but more of just a habit is making sure that you do switch off from work. It's very easy for it to creep and you're checking Slack in the evenings, over weekends. But I think create those boundaries and make sure that you're giving yourself the opportunity to rest, refresh, and then get up and do your best.
Yeah.
Steph, you were about to say something. Was it about climbing the mountain?
Yeah, no. Actually, it's along the lines of what Sam said. So, for example, my morning routine, I just take an hour or an hour and a half just for myself. For example, even if it's drinking your coffee, exercising, reading, journaling, listening to music, is just starting the day with whatever works for you, not necessarily thinking about work, checking emails. Even if for me it works to wake up earlier, an hour before, and then when I go to work, I'm fully concentrated on that, not thinking that I haven't done anything for myself that beginning of the day.
Awesome. We did have a few other questions, but I think we can take those away and maybe get some answers to those, Ty.
Yes, I will do my best to get them written down for everyone. Thank you so much. What an amazing panel. Thank you all. I'm sure everyone is virtually clapping right now because of how much they enjoyed what they learned today. And so we're so thankful for all of you. Just to be real quick here at the end of our session, we want to make sure that you're all aware that you can check out the raffle giveaway. The information for this is available for you, as well as the leaderboards, and it can be found at the pin at the top of the public chat, as well as in the doc tabs. We also have DEMOFEST X coming to you as well. So pay attention and be on the lookout for that in New York City and London. And lastly, you'll be pushed next to the next session in your track. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for this amazing panel. It was great to have you with us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you all.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.